Generations of Women. What did you think of our little theme song we've got worked up with Becky Cole there? I'd like to thank Leah Rushforth, our guitarist, for warming us up. And to start tonight, I would like to introduce the Sydney Lord Mayor, Clover Moore.
Thank you, Kate. And hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Paddington Town Hall tonight. I first of all would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of our land, and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present, and acknowledge the people of the 200 nationalities who live in our city, and tonight particularly acknowledge all of you. So, welcome. I'd also like to acknowledge Senator Christine Milne, who is just sitting down here in front of me, and Claudia Karvan, who is, lovely Claudia is here, and our co-conveners Pete and Siri, who are doing such a wonderful job with Mardi Gras, and Alex Greenwich, the independent member for Sydney, and Deputy Lord Mayor Robin Kemmis, and all the distinguished people, and all you distinguished people who are sitting here in the audience. I'd like to congratulate Steph and the Mardi Gras Women's Committee for this forum. It's been going 2 years and it is so successful, and I've been talking to Pete tonight, and yes, we think we'd love to have a Say Something at Town Hall, so we'll do that. You know, I understand that this is really fulfilling a need because the forum sold out in 3 minutes, 3 months prior to the event, so clearly you like to get together. And you know, we have these city talks and we have these city conversations based in Town Hall. And you know, people come, a couple of thousand people fill the Town Hall, and we talk about some of the things that really matter, and it's really terrific to engage with our Sydney community. I think it's very important that women say something, and I think it's actually even more important that women do something. It can be risky, it might interfere with our plans or our daily routine, and if it's important enough, it's almost inevitably going to force us out of our comfort zone. Years ago, I did something risky and right out of my comfort zone and experience. Completely changed the direction of my life, our lives. I was a mother at home for the first time with 2 small children, and I found my Redfern neighbourhood in a rundown state with fast-moving traffic in every street and the local children's playgrounds in a derelict state. I tried saying something, and I wrote to my state and local representatives who either didn't understand that there was a problem or who flicked me onto some other uninterested authority or bureaucrat. So then I did something. I walked the streets, and we'd just come back from London. We'd been away for about 5 years, so I didn't know anyone. But I gathered community interest and support, and I founded Redfern Community Concern, and we met in our living room. You speak for us, my Greek neighbour said, you be our voice. And so then I did something that a lot of people said was really crazy. Without any background in politics and in the shadow of inner city Tammany Hall, not long after Peter Baldwin had just, the then Federal Labor Minister who'd just had his face rearranged, he'd been bashed, I stood for and was elected to South Sydney Council. The following year, council was amalgamated into the city, and my actions on council must have resonated with some because in 1984, I was re-elected together with a fellow woman independent, giving us a majority in the former hitherto all-male Labor Redfern ward. I was devastated when, in 1987, the council was sacked by the state for political reasons. And it wasn't just enough to speak out about the outrageous manipulation of the democratic institution. So I did something. I stood for the 1988 state election as an independent, and I became a member of the New South Wales Parliament, first as a member for Bligh and latterly as a member for Sydney. I was, as you know, forced to resign as a result of predatory legislation passed by the O'Farrell government last year. Yes. I couldn't have envisaged it in the early days of will I or won't I, because when you're deciding to do something you've never done before and you talk to people and you think about it and you think about all the things you're going to do and all the plans you had and anyway, I didn't think at that time that I would leave the New South Wales Parliament as the longest serving woman and the longest serving independent. So So I think when you're making a decision to speak out and do something, you've got to ignore the negativity and naysayers and just go for it. I remember the first time I was going door knocking. I don't know if you've all been door knocking, but it can be quite intimidating first off. I started my door knocking in Redfern, and as I said, I didn't really know anyone, and I went to a chemist on the corner of Pitt Street and Redfern Street, and I told him that I was going to run for council. And he said, "You're mad." And he leant down under the counter and pulled out this rifle and said, "That's what I need." And it could have put me off, but it didn't. So as I said, you've got to ignore the negativity and the naysayers and you've just got to go for it. If you believe it, you've just got to go for it. So I don't know how many people told me it would not be possible to get elected as an independent. And then if I was elected, I wouldn't be able to do anything. But I found that I could achieve a great deal by just directly representing and focusing on my community as a hard-working local member. And I achieved a swing of 16% at the next election. And what was really interesting, that my electorate then included the Conservative voting areas of Point Piper, Double Bay and parts of Bellevue Hill. So it was remarkable. Then in 91 to 95, I held the balance of power in the New South Wales Parliament with John Hatton and Pekin MacDonald. And we were really able to do something. I think it's also about taking those opportunities if it's possible to have them. We negotiated much needed reform. Our groundbreaking charter reform introduced a 4-year fixed parliamentary term. And I'm sure you'd be interested to know, I was in the discussions about this. I thought this is a really important reform because I thought any government worth its salt should be able to get in there for 2 lots of 4 years and do really important long-term things. And when we were talking about when we'd have it, we said we didn't want it too near Christmas or Easter. And I said, and it can't be when Mardi Gras is on. So that's how we ended up with the third Saturday in March. So our groundbreaking charter reform introduced a 4-year fixed parliamentary term and greater independence of the judiciary. We achieved a Royal Commission into police corruption, whistleblower protection, increased independence of the Ombudsman and the Auditor-General, and the establishment of a Legal Services Commissioner, and reforms of parliamentary processes. In fact, these reforms were described as the most progressive in any Westminster system in the 20th century, reforms that no major party would do without being forced to. During that period, I also introduced 3 private members' bills that became law. One will be of particular interest to you. Back then, homophobia was rife, and my anti-vilification legislation made it illegal to incite hatred of gay men and lesbians. And this legislation was critical then. And I remember the pathetic scene of Fred Nile leaving hospital in his pyjamas in a wheelchair so that he could filibuster and vote against the bill. And I remember the next Mardi Gras where there was a whole procession of Fred Niles. In striped pyjamas, in wheelchairs. So, recent publicity at the renewed investigation into the 1988 death of Scott Johnson off Manly highlights just how far we've come. The widespread discrimination and violence that so many gay people were experiencing then really demanded action. So that's what that vilification legislation was about. And Gary Burns keeps using it, and it's terrific. In 2010, I successfully introduced legislation for same-sex adoption after having failed to get these changes passed in Parliament a decade before in 2000. That bill passed in a nail-biting conscience vote, and now children can be adopted by both their parents if they're in a same-sex relationship. I believe that if you do something and persist, you can get change. But you can't rest on your laurels either. 2004, the South Sydney Council and City of Sydney were again sacked and amalgamated in what was yet another blatant attempt by state Labor to take control of our city. Without any idea of ever returning to Town Hall, I was approached by many people and in the end was persuaded to put together a team of like-minded independents and to stand as Lord Mayor so that we could promote strong community leadership for our city. So it was decision time again. I remember everyone in my family sitting there, will I or won't I, you know, and I remember Peter saying, this could be the biggest risk of your life. You'll never lost an election. But it was one of those things where I thought this was really important, and as I said, you go for it. And, you know, it was the best decision. It's been an exciting challenge to steer our beautiful city forward over the past 8 years. Thank you. In consultation with you, with our community, we've set a pathway for the future with our action plan of Sustainable Sydney 2030, with emphasis on environmental challenges and responsibilities, which include the use of LED lighting and solar panels and tri-generation precincts. We've developed a new city plan, and that's for the expanded city area, and we're beautifying our city villages. And we do things like create wonderful parks and community gardens and well-designed facilities. And we've campaigned successfully for small bars. We've got 60 in the city now. We've introduced bike lanes. And we're building more. And we're providing affordable spaces for artists and digital innovators. And we do lots of other things, and it's a wonderful opportunity. So I'm going to conclude. I'm going to say that I surmised that if I hadn't been motivated to do something about my local Redfern playground all those years ago and do something that was quite foreign to me at that time, I would now be Lord Mayor doing the big stuff for Sydney. So thank you for this opportunity, and I will again welcome you here tonight. And I conclude by saying it's important to say something, and it's even more important to do something. Have a happy Mardi Gras, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much, Clover Moore. Okay, I'm gonna get some housekeeping done, and I believe our first panel will be up. Women Say Something is a not-for-profit event which exists to enable women to meet, connect, share, and learn. We aim for diverse panels and diverse audiences. We rely on the power of the word of mouth to get the event to as many people as possible. Women Say Something is filmed in its entirety and is then posted on our Women Say Something YouTube channel. This is to ensure accessibility to the event by women all around the world through our Facebook network. We make no profit from this footage, nor do we release this footage to any media outlet. We do have photographers around the shop. If you have any issues with being photographed or you're with somebody that no one knows you're with, maybe grab one of the girls with the WSS tag and let them know. We'll take a picture of you and then we'll work it out from there. We are live tweeting from the event to include those who couldn't make it. And plus, we love Twitter. And we'll be using the hashtag WSS. Please get involved on the night. We have a microphone right over here. And when it comes to asking questions, it's really important, and it's part of the night make sure that everyone gets to pose a question. And when I say pose a question, I do mean pose a question, not make, holy smokes! Yeah, I think we better secure that. When you ask a question, please do not make a statement couched into a question. We have very limited time. We only have about an hour and 5 minutes with each panel, and that time is precious. Please be respectful at all times of the people telling their stories. It can be very, very daunting, especially in this room with 500 of you. How you doing, Mackenzie? Good? It can be very daunting to get up here and speak your truth and the things that you believe in. So please, no heckling and always respect. That's one of the major tenets of the Women Say Something idea. Please thank our Auslan interpreters, Linda, Eleanor, and Amanda. They are volunteering their time, so a big round of applause. So let's get the panel up here. Can we do that? Shall we? No, you can use the stairs. Monique Brumby. Oh. Do we have any other panelists? Are we live? Okay. So if you don't know Monique Brumby, she's a two-time ARIA award-winning singer-songwriter and music producer. Now is Meg Ebelt. She was the Mardi Gras 2012 Volunteer of the Year. She's studied at Charles Sturt University. She's a fan of music, which I picked up from your Twitter account. I've been stalking you on Twitter. Christine Milne, leader of the Greens. And Claudia Karvan. If you don't know who Claudia Karvan, you clearly haven't been watching TV or film for the last 20 years. And C.Moore Hardy, directly to my right, chronicler of our gay world through the lens of a camera. Please, one more big round of applause for our first panel. Hi, guys. Everybody good? I spent a lot of time thinking and watching and reading for tonight, and I'm absolutely honored, I have to say, to be part of and be the MC of this event. Are you right, C.Moore? So you found it. Don't sit on the microphone. Yeah. I can't believe that 2 years ago we started this event at the Columbian. It's a trip. I can't believe we've got 500 people in the Paddington Town Hall. How lucky are we on so many levels? I'm not saying on all levels, but on so many. Most of us in this room have grown up with basic civil rights where many do not. Being in this room, I'm so proud of my community and how it supports diversity and how it celebrates disparity and discussion of views that define us as women. Our first panel, generational change.
And here come the questions.
Are you ready? Are you worried? It's just like sitting at your kitchen table. That's all it is. It's just with a few more people than usual. Yeah?
Sure,
so
honey.
I'm going to just start with that. Just a question for everybody so everybody can get relaxed. A generation is defined as all the people born and living at about the same time. The average period is generally considered about 30 years. What can we realistically change within a generation? Does it take more than a generation to make serious change? C.Moore, you're ready to go. Ready to go.
When I was younger, the word lesbian was not even able to be spoken. TV presenters couldn't say lesbian. Gay men, said, my gay women friends. So I was actually on in the Mardi Gras workshop down at Rushcutters Bay when they voted to include the word lesbian in the gay and lesbian Mardi Gras. And I'm a lesbian.
Amazing. So how many years did that change take?
Oh, fuck, there was an awful lot of argument about that.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it seems like change takes an awfully long time, but I'm a very impatient person.
Most of us are.
Yeah. Monique?
I think depending on community that you're in, whether it's, living in a cosmopolitan city where change is in your face, there's media outlets, or remote communities in this country in particular where I've been spending some time recently, communication's a little bit different. Change, very different for different parts of the world, different countries, women living in different parts of Australia and around the world. The change I've seen very much like C.Moore, when I was putting out records in the early 90s, it wasn't probably very acceptable to be a lesbian and be a performer. It was a time of change. I remember growing up and the only lesbians I knew were Katie Lang and Martina Navratilova. And myself. So I didn't really know who to identify with. So identification is a key part to change. It's about recognising something in yourself and then also understanding that other people feel, have similar feelings to you, have similar fears, have similar wants and needs and ethos about the world. Generation has changed a lot. Now it's almost, we have sitcoms with women kissing, gay couples, men as well. It's a lot more talked about, it's a lot more accepted.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
It's very good. But not just about sexuality either. It's not just about, homosexuality. It's about, changes happen in a lot of different areas for women. Not being tied to the chain to the kitchen sink or, not being felt like they couldn't go out and have a career. Those types of things have changed.
So Meg, you're our Gen Y advisor on the panel tonight.
That's right.
How do you view change?
Well, I found out through work this year that 35 years is a generation because that's our theme this year with Mardi Gras. It's Generations of Love. And I'm only 23, so...
Yeah, you're not even there yet.
No.
Yeah.
And you know what? Speaking from personal experience, the past 4 years of working on Parade as a volunteer for me, the parade itself has changed so much and the political landscape around equality has changed so much. I can't even imagine what it would have been like 35 years ago. And I'm very proud to be... in the company of people who made those changes, so it was easier for me to come out in high school.
Which is a perfect segue to Senator Milne. You work constantly and tirelessly for change in our communities and across the country. How hard is it to push change?
Oh, look, it's really hard to push change, but it's very much as Clover said. It's not enough just to speak out, you have to actually act. And on reflecting on that question of change and impatience for change, because we all want it to be sooner rather than later, I just reflected tonight upon the fact that when I was first elected to the Tasmanian Parliament in 1989, you could be jailed for 21 years in Tasmania for being a gay person.